Title: Villainess's unexpected transmigration. One moment, Aisha was curled up on her threadbare couch, halfway through a bag of chips and completely immersed in her favorite BL novel, Business Titans. The next, everything changed. She gasped. The scent hit her first floral, rich, expensive. Her skin prickled, her surroundings blurred, like she'd blinked into another reality. The couch was gone. Her dim apartment lighting had been replaced by a chandelier. And the floor beneath her feet, marble, cool and foreign. Her body felt wrong. Her clothes clung like silk, her limbs elongated in unfamiliar ways. Her breath caught. Where am I? She stumbled toward the nearest reflective surface, a gold-framed mirror hanging on the wall. The woman who stared back was not her. Sharp cheekbones, high-bridged nose, deep hazel eyes framed by voluminous curls. Regal. Intimidating. What is this? She whispered. She clutched at her chest. Her heartbeat was real. Her surroundings were real. But nothing made sense. A knock echoed at the door. She flinched. Miss Petrova, the driver will arrive in 15 minutes for your appointment with Mr. Yi. Shall I have coffee prepared? Petrova. Aisha froze. No way, not that name. Her mind spiraled. Anya Petrova. The name belonged to the antagonist in Business Titans, her favorite novel. A side character, elegant, powerful, ruthless, and utterly doomed. Aisha backed away from the mirror, heart hammering. She remembered the story now. It was about Yichen, a sweet, brilliant underdog who rose through corporate ranks, and Jian Li, a cold CEO with a tragic past. The two men's relationship was complicated, rivalrous, tender, explosive. The novel had captivated readers with its slow-burn tension, political intrigue, and intense emotional arcs. Anya Petrova was introduced as a business socialite who tried to sabotage Yichen's rise and win Jian Li's favor. In the original novel, her schemes backfired, and she was exposed at a gala. Publicly humiliated, professionally ruined. A few chapters later, she was killed off in a car accident engineered by one of Jian Li's rivals. Aisha knew every twist, every painful detail, and now she was her. Panic clawed at her chest. She collapsed into a chair, no, an armchair that molded to her like it knew her body. She breathed shallowly, shaking. I can't die here, I can't be her, but she was. Gradually, the panic gave way to realization. And with it, cold clarity. She would not follow the original script. She couldn't afford to. She explored the penthouse cautiously, still expecting to wake up. But everything confirmed the truth. The tablet on the coffee table unlocked to her touch, revealing emails, appointments, and the looming charity gala. She found Anya's wardrobe, her phone, her contacts. Everything about her life was now Aisha's to control, or to destroy. She sat with the tablet and reread the familiar outlines of the plot, matching them to her new schedule. It was all aligning. The gala would be next week. In the novel, it was the point of no return. There, Anya exposed Yichen's past in a fit of jealousy. Jian Li retaliated by cutting ties with her. Overnight, her sponsors and investors abandoned her. She was ostracized. Then, the car crash. If I don't change anything, that will be me. No, she refused. She wasn't here to play the villain. She was here to survive. That night, Aisha barely slept. She turned over her options again and again. In this world, every move mattered. Anya had power, influence, beauty, presence. But she'd use them poorly. Aisha wouldn't. She would gather information. She would tread lightly. She would rewrite her story. And if she could, she would protect Yichen. Because she remembered how broken he became after the gala. How his smile faded. How the light in his eyes dimmed. She wouldn't let that happen. Not to him. Not while she had the power to change things. The game had begun, and she would play it to win. The days leading up to the charity gala passed like a slow-moving storm cloud, thick with pressure, yet deceptively quiet. Aisha adjusted to her new role with a blend of caution and quiet resolve. She played Anya Petrova with subtlety, studying her environment, listening more than speaking. Her goal was clear: survive. And to survive, she had to avoid triggering the sequence that led to her downfall. She researched the gala obsessively. In the novel, it took place in the garden pavilion of the Grand Palais, private, elegant, and ultimately damning. There, the old Anya had humiliated Yichun with a cruel reveal of his foster family background. Jian Li's reaction had been swift and merciless. Aisha knew she could never let that scene happen. Her plan began with changing the setting. She whispered rumors, mentioned, offhand, to a minor socialite that the garden pavilion was under renovation. Word spread. 2 days before the gala, the reception was moved indoors to the main ballroom, open, public, safer. Next, she changed her own script. She drafted a revised speech, one that flattered both Jianli and Yichun. She practiced smiles in the mirror. She rewrote Anya's signature smirk into something softer, something approachable. And then, finally, the night arrived. The Grand Palais glittered beneath chandeliers. Silk gowns shimmered. The air smelled of roses and champagne. Aisha stepped inside, heart thundering beneath her emerald dress. Her eyes found Yichun instantly. He stood alone, close to the refreshments table, hands clasped behind his back, watching, waiting. She approached slowly. Mr. Yi, it's a beautiful evening, isn't it? He blinked, surprised. Ms. Petrova, you look radiant. There was no venom, no suspicion, only curiosity. And for the first time, Aisha dared to believe she could change her story. The ballroom shimmered with luxury, but Aisha kept her mind focused. Every step, every word had to be calculated. She was no longer a reader. She was a player in the story, and one wrong move could trigger her scripted demise. She lingered by Yichun's side for just long enough to establish presence, not dominance. The old Anya would have bragged, flirted, baited Jianli into jealousy. Aisha did none of that. Instead, she asked thoughtful questions about the charity's mission. She made gentle comments about the hospital it supported. And she listened when Yichun spoke. He wasn't just the kind-hearted underdog anymore. In person, he was intelligent, composed, and deeply sincere. The way he talked about the children's programs with such hope lit something inside her. It wasn't love, not yet, but it was warmth. And for a girl just trying to survive, that warmth was dangerously comforting. Jianli made his entrance later in the evening, cutting through the crowd like a blade in a tailored suit. The atmosphere tightened. Conversations quieted. The powerful knew when power had entered the room. Aisha avoided his gaze. The story said Anya had pined for Jianli, clung to his favor, but Aisha had no such desire. Jianli was unreadable, beautiful and brilliant, yes, but his presence felt like a frozen lake, calm, but treacherous. Still, she knew she would have to face him. Eventually. When their eyes did meet across the ballroom, his brow arched, faintly amused. He didn't approach, but she knew that look. A predator noticing something unfamiliar in familiar prey. She turned her attention back to Yichun. He offered her a flute of champagne. I must admit, he said gently, you're not what I expected. Aisha raised a brow, feigning lightness. What did you expect? Someone colder, crueler. A pause. I'm glad I was wrong. Aisha felt the floor shift under her heels, just slightly. She smiled. So am I. The gala had ended, but the echoes lingered. Back in her penthouse, Aisha sat by the window, still wrapped in emerald silk, staring down at the glittering city. She had rewritten the first page of her new life, avoided humiliation, made a gentle impression on Yichun, and left Jianli without ammunition. Yet, she could still feel his gaze, like ice pressed against her spine. Jianli. In the novel, he was the coldest storm in a summer sky, unpredictable, brilliant, terrifying. A man whose silence meant more than most people's outbursts. He was Yichun's rival, but also the one person who saw Yichun's worth before anyone else. Their dynamic had been the soul of business titans. And Anya had tried to wedge herself between them. Tried. She wouldn't make that mistake. The next day, Her assistant informed her that Mr. Lee had scheduled a casual drop-in meeting for noon. Casual, from Jian Li, was as threatening as a shark smiling. Aisha wore a pale gray suit. Understated, sharp. No perfume. She didn't want to charm him. She wanted to survive him. He arrived on time. Not early. Not late. Just enough to make her wait and wonder. Ms. Petrova, he said, walking into her office like he owned the floor. Your taste in decor is expected. Aisha met his gaze, steady. Mr. Lee, I hope expected doesn't mean disappointing. His lips quirked. It wasn't a smile, but it was close. He sat, uninvited, crossing one leg over the other like he had all day. Your performance last night was surprising, he said. Is that so? You didn't speak ill of Yi. Didn't try to monopolize the spotlight. You even laughed. Genuinely. Aisha tilted her head. Perhaps I'm evolving. People like you don't evolve. They scheme, they pivot, they survive. But evolve? No. She let out a quiet breath. Survival can be a form of evolution. That gave him pause. For a heartbeat, they sat in silence, two tacticians in a room of glass and unspoken rules. I came to see what game you're playing now, Jian said. Aisha leaned forward, folding her hands. And what did you conclude? That I should keep watching closely. His words hung in the air like a blade balanced on a wire. And then, he stood. Until next time, Ms. Petrova. As he walked out, she didn't exhale until the door shut behind him. That night, she texted Yichin. Aisha, I wanted to thank you again for your kindness at the gala. Yichin, you don't need to thank me. But I appreciate it. Yichin, you surprised me. In a good way. She smiled at the screen. This world was dangerous. But she wasn't alone in it anymore. The following week unfolded like a chess game. Every move, every encounter, layered with tension and veiled intentions. Aisha knew that keeping a low profile wouldn't be enough forever. Jian Li was watching. The board was already in motion. But so was she. She began attending smaller meetings within the Petrova conglomerate, quietly evaluating allies and enemies. She declined gossip-fueled lunch invitations and instead scheduled brief, purposeful coffees with department heads. Subtle shifts. Quiet changes. Yet, the most significant change came in an unexpected form, Yichin. It started with a shared initiative. The hospital foundation, which had once been a footnote in Anya's social calendar, was now a bridge. Aisha proposed co-hosting a youth innovation workshop. It would link corporate sponsors with underprivileged students from the inner city. The idea was simple. Her sincerity was not. Yichin agreed without hesitation. Their meeting was held in a sunlit lounge room of Yi Innovations, far more relaxed than the grand halls and ballrooms they were used to. You surprise me again, he said, setting down his coffee. You don't just have good ideas. You mean them. Aisha lowered her gaze slightly. I never liked the way the old Anya handled things. He blinked. The old Anya. Aisha smiled faintly. Let's say, I'm trying to rewrite my role. There was silence for a beat too long. Yichin's eyes narrowed slightly, searching. Then he leaned back with a soft chuckle. Well, I like this version better. And just like that, a thread pulled taut between them, unspoken, but strong. Later that evening, as she sat reviewing workshop proposals, her assistant brought in a file. From Mr. Lee's office, she said. Aisha hesitated before opening it. Inside was a thin dossier. 3 pages. All about her. No threats. No accusations. Just a subtle reminder. I know who you were. She stared at the last page, a photo of her from the gala, standing next to Yichin, laughing. Beneath it, a single note handwritten in black ink. Be careful which version of yourself you let them love. She closed the file slowly. Jian Li wasn't attacking her. He was warning her, and that was more terrifying. Anya adjusted the neckline of her midnight blue dress and turned to the mirror. For the first time, she didn't flinch at the reflection. She was no longer simply pretending to be Anya Petrova. She was Anya Petrova. But she would be her own version. Not the reckless schemer from the book. Not the victim fated to die. She would be deliberate. She would be powerful. She would survive. And if the world chose to call her a villainess, so be it. She would make that title her armor. The invitation arrived in an envelope so elegant, it might have belonged in another century. A countryside business retreat hosted by none other than Jian Li. 3 days. Remote estate. Select elite. A test, clearly. She accepted with a signature that never trembled. The estate was carved out of stone and legacy. Green hills surrounded it like armor. The main hall was quiet, refined, with sunlight pouring through glass walls. She was the last to arrive. Yichen stood near the windows, looking out at the mountains. As if sensing her, he turned. Their eyes met. The quiet between them warmed. Didn't expect you to come, he said, walking toward her. Anya tilted her chin, her voice soft. Then I must enjoy surprising you. He stopped close enough she could see the faint crease at the corner of his mouth when he smiled. I don't mind it, he said, quieter. You're not what I thought you were. She looked away, momentarily unsure. Neither am I. There was a beat of silence. When she turned back, his gaze hadn't left her. If I'm honest, he murmured, I didn't come for Jian's lectures or strategy games. I came because I thought you might show up. Her breath caught. Mr. Yichen, he corrected gently. She hesitated, then smiled. Yichen. It felt different on her tongue now. Personal. That evening, the welcome dinner was drenched in candlelight and veiled intentions. Jian Li's eyes followed her with cold amusement but didn't approach. Yet she could feel the storm building. Later, she escaped to the terrace for air. The moon was low, the wind soft against her skin. Yichen found her there. You looked like you needed saving, he said with a gentle smile. I think I needed silence more. He leaned beside her, not touching, but near enough that she could feel his warmth. Did you mean what you said earlier? He asked. That you're not who they think you are. She nodded. But I don't think I'm who I used to be either. Maybe. I'm just trying to find a version of me I can live with. He turned to her. Then let me find it with you. Her eyes widened. I don't want to figure you out to control you, Anya. I just want to understand. The words sank deep. Slowly, without knowing who reached first, their fingers brushed. Then lingered. Nothing more. But it was enough. A promise made in the silence.